It is now the month of October. Now are the bygone days of summer, and the brightest days that burned us life. And it is now time for the cycle of death to begin anew with this autumn season, in preparation for the world's cycle of rebirth. And video games are no exception to this rule of cool. The cool nature, of course, being Hallows' Eve. We all have our favorites. Silent Hill, Until Dawn, Majora's Mask, Dead Space. We've played them all this time of year. The spooks, the skeletons, the scary yet churning certainty that the entire spirit world and their mother is trying to get you. One game in particular always warrants my appreciative eye for the every autumn's eve. Luigi's Mansion. The best thing to come out of 2001 to help get our minds off of...
I've got a blast!
Whoops, did I just say that out loud? What timing? It came out in 2001 during late November. I'm not a fan of rushed games, but wouldn't it have been a bit more fitting if it arrived in October considering the theme? Regardless, Luigi's Mansion is a staple in gaming history, being the first tech demo to show the world what the GameCube hardware was capable of. Year of Luigi? Fuck that shit! It's the Decade of Toad, bitch! In all seriousness, this is when Nintendo took risks, and they paid off. Oh, and when our faith in video game devs was rewarded. And while the sequels don't take as heavy inspiration in the atmosphere and tone as the first one did, they're still faithful in spirit to the Mario series at large. Let's pop open this, bad boy. It's, Our story begins in the Boo Forest of the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi seems to be following this map that leads directly to his prize mansion he won in a contest that he didn't even enter. Ah yes, of course, you always get something for nothing. Just ask your local retailer if you can have something half price because it was on special last week. It'll work every time. In all seriousness, this opening cutscene nails the atmosphere and tension that is expected from, regular horror games, but unexpected from a Mario game. Look at that mansion! Look how foreboding it is! The two lights coming on from the windows represents eyes, the doorway being an allegory for the jaws of a nocturnal predator. If anything, I compare this to Luke Skywalker's meeting with the Emperor for the first time in Return of the Jedi, the glass window being the spider's web, Palpatine being the arachnid itself, and Vader as the bait. Are we sensing a pattern here? It's clear to us now that this seems like a probable trap. And inadvertently, Mario may have become the bait. And so we begin in the foyer. Or the foyer. Whatever the fuck. The night's cold air and lightning storm in the background offer no comfort to Luigi's bouncing heart. There's nothing much to do until Luigi finds a key. And don't worry, there'll be plenty more where that came from. What a sound effect! Upon being attacked by a ghost, Luigi is saved by not the grace of God, but by his hand acting through the extension of Professor Elvin Gadd, or EGAD for short. I always imagined him as Egon Spengler from the Ghostbusters. You know, had he not gone bald and suffered from a bad case of I died today? So they escape to his lab just outside the mansion. We learn that EGAD has lived here for many, many years. But that mansion only appeared a few days ago. A bit of an inconsistency if I do say so myself. You see, in Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, the brothers travel to the past to meet a young EGAD to only find out that he's not living here. So, I like to imagine this place is one of his old summer homes, One of those places that he took a mortgage on his old family's home to pay off, Good stuff like that. Or, fuck consistency. Am I right? So after some training on how to combat these new ghosts, we learn that EGAD has spent his entire life running a paranormal research business. He collects these spirits of the dead and turns them into... oh god. Lovely paintings, oh my god! Oh god. Oh, no. Oh, you monster! Oh dear god. Are you serious? Jesus, that's morbid, Nintendo. Jesus. After we get some exposition, we are finally equipped with a Game Boy Horror, the variant of the Game Boy Color devised by EGAD. Ah yes, this era of Nintendo was especially at its height when they referenced themselves in their previous works. It's got all the features you acquire for ghost hunting romps. A built-in PKE meter, a 3D mapping system of your surrounding environment, a databank storing all of your collected items, as well as information on the ghosts you catch. Every ghost hunter should never be without one of these bad boys. Or one of these fellas. But God forbid you be without one of these bad boys. That's a good one. Luigi is equipped with a Poltergust 3000, which in later games will evolve into more advanced models, my particular favorite being the Poltergust 5000. And man, I would kill for a real-life variant of that thing in store shelves. Aside from sucking up ghosts' crumbs, it also sucks up money and blows air, fire, water, and ice. And by God, Nintendo, I'm still waiting for that Poltergust Luigi amiibo. That was the one missed opportunity. You had it, and you coulda, but you didn't. You didn't. At least I have you. At least I have you. Finally, we're ready to brave the horrors that await us in the Eldritch Domain. This cutscene always gives me goosebumps. Seeing Luigi tentatively open the door with his flashlight makes me think he's mentally preparing himself for any kind of surprise. A couple of things I like about the mansion itself is that I seriously love the dust particle effects here. This game was meant to demonstrate what the Nintendo Gamecube could really do post-Nintendo 64, and done that well it did. Apparently Nintendo got one of the game devs who work exclusively on the dust particle effects for 2 months! And it really shows! And oh my God, even when Luigi uses his flashlight, we can see the particles in the air. It's amazing! The controls are obviously one of a kind, meaning they feel natural and right at home, though there are some qualms about it, especially when you're transitioning between the original and 3DS remake. Wrangling ghosts never feels better, almost as if you can feel the weight of them going in the opposite direction of your capture stream. I know Ghostbusters the video game is the ultimate experience for ghost hunting fans, but this game fits the bill for a Mario title. And I gotta say, this game was a masterpiece that was worth the risk. As a launch title, the world was so used to Mario being the headlining act, so I can only imagine the response to Luigi being in the spotlight for a change. And as Nintendo has proven time and time again, originality over familiarity pays off in the long run. To my knowledge, this game is a cult classic, only gaining a following after its initial release. I like to imagine the reason why we got these new stale Super Mario Brothers Wii games was because of their pent-up aggression over the backlash of this game. Like, I bet they were like, they want Mario? I'll give them Mario. It's like, you want Mario? Fucking have it! This game is just dripping with atmosphere, and you get this sense that the mansion is personifying itself, like as if the mansion has become a character on its own. The darkness that is only illuminated by Luigi's flashlight, the transparency and overall intangibility of the ghost designs, the inhuman sounds they make, the music as Luigi strolls through the halls, topping it off with the feeling of hopelessness as Luigi goes off to find Mario in this haunted place is just... what a game! I love how Luigi calls out for Mario because, to his knowledge, he knows that Mario could be anywhere inside this mansion. We all know he's at the final boss, but not to Luigi, he doesn't know that. For all he knows, he could be in the musician's room, the ballroom, anywhere. I also love the small attention to detail, is that when Luigi is in the dark, his breath creates clouds, indicating that the room is cold, but that immediately disappears when the lights turn on, giving a sense of relief or warmth to the player. And man, oh man, Luigi humming the mansion's theme to himself to stay calm is a nice touch, and totally in line with his character, that is purely established by this game! It even gets more strained when he loses more of his health. His calls for Mario become even more desperate. I guess you could say... It's like a movie. It's something movie show. Throughout the mansion, we encounter the portrait ghosts, the mini-bosses that stand out across all the various types of enemies we face in the game. The beauty behind them is how much I memorize their names, their quirky attitudes, and their descriptions. Unlike modern Mario games where we just have Toads and Koopalings, we get these great characters. Each of their personalities add to the game's flavor. My favorite being Melody Pianissima, the musician of the Ghost family. Oddly enough, she likes video games. I always liked that trait from her, and I kinda felt bad when I had to capture her in the end. She was like as if Lindsay Sterling died and decided to become a pianist rather than a violinist. She didn't seem so bad, really. Neville was a great introduction to how these classes of ghosts act and behave because of his sheer simplicity of a character. He's just reading his books before he goes to bed in his study. the fire effects right next to him, the campfire, the fireplace. It was just so good! So good! Uncle Grimly being the optional ghost to catch was an interesting one to say the least. I can't get the vibe that he's that one family member you stay away from at family gatherings. Like, oh my god, dude, you invite him without telling me? How could you do this? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean. Sweet Soupy's story had... Sweet Soupy. Sweet Soupy's story has no chill whatsoever, and I love it. Mr. Shivers, the family butler, has some sort of affection to Melody Pianissima, but it gets creepy when you find out that he's 72 and she's 26. So, yeah... awkward. The fact that this game has a baby as a boss ghost is quite disturbing. I know the game says he was born a ghost, but we know that's not true, because in each room where these spirits dwell, we see pictures of them when they were alive. And what do we see here? We see Chauncey as a living baby! After collecting these apparitions, we turn them into paintings, and we get to see them in the gallery at our leisure. I find it odd that we have realistic angel statues here. Not sure why they're included in this stylized Mario game of all places. But to be fair, it adds to the mystique of this game, why this game is such an outlier in the Mario series. I always like looking through these paintings. They're the trophies for our victories, after all. Some of them are basically just their 3D models with bad texturing in an effort to make them look hand-painted, but some of them do a really nice job making them look like they were. Heck, I'm pretty sure some of these were hand-painted. Look at those fluorescent contrasting colors, those brush strokes, those textures, anti-aliasing colors, cross-hatchings and shadings. Everything here is just so bizarre in concept, but it somehow just works, turning ghosts into paintings. Who would have thought? Oh yeah, Nintendo. They would have thought it through. I often wonder if this game would achieve the same level of memorability as it would have had it not been for these characters. Without them, would Luigi's Mansion be the Luigi's Mansion we know of today? Who can say? This game is chock full of memorable moments, which is something I tend to gravitate more to as an adult. The more memorable the certain moments in a piece of entertainment is, the stronger it is in the long run. A few moments include our chats with Madame Clairvoyant, the gypsy ghost who tells fortunes with Mario's various dropped items. Come to think of it, Mario must have been running for his life around the mansion if he dropped his items everywhere. That's not a cheering thought. Like, imagine Mario was going across every room in the mansion being chased by boos everywhere until he was finally cornered by King Boo. Ugh. I don't even want to imagine that. I always found it oddly satisfying and relaxing when Luigi talks to Madame Clairvoyant about Mario's dropped items. We get neat, we get some perspective, we get some interesting stuff. But my favorite conversation out of her throughout the entire game is when she foreshadows the final boss with Bowser at the end of the game. It really brought in a sense of dread, and also it's a nice callback to Mario 64 where Mario supposedly defeated Bowser then. I think this is at that time where we were just starting to get more and more used to Bowser's frequent attacks on the Mushroom Kingdom. But anyway. Oh my god, and there was that lightning strike that caused a blackout. Oh, it was a genius move on Nintendo's part. Because what followed next was... that scene at the bottom of the well was especially memorable. Seeing Mario trapped in that painting pretty much informs the player that this shit is to be taken seriously. I'd also like to point out that Mario calls out to you faintly when you pass next to the well. It's subtle, but it's there. It helps if you have earphones. There was that epic boss fight with Boolossus, the graveyard battle with Bogmire, and going back to Medley again, there was that time she played various Mario Brothers themes and gave you that brief trivia quiz about them. I loved that. I just loved that. But overall, my favorite moment throughout the entire game has got to be the part where Luigi shoots the moon, blows it up, and retrieves Mario's Infinity Star. This place irradiates a sense of wonder. which really stands out amongst the dour imagery the game has treated us with so far. The incandescent path of light, hard light that is, that leads to the star's platform, the imagery of the moon itself, just everything in this entire moment is representing of one thing. This was the beacon of light in Luigi's darkest hour. Think about it, he had just seen his brother, his role model, in a position of which he could not escape, in a position of negligible power, where Luigi for once is in a position of power. The brightest light captures the darkest shadow when someone decides to turn the light off. The disparity of the mansion is overwhelming Luigi at this point. It is even manifesting itself into Bogmire, the boss ghost. This moment is kind of reminiscent of Super Mario Galaxy in a way. But at its core, I always found this moment as Mario's presence reaching out to Luigi, to give him the strength he needs to keep moving forward. That was a good moment. That was a good moment. That's it. I forgot to mention that throughout this game, we have the option to suck up various coins, gems, dollar bills, pearls, gold bars, just everything we can use to pay off our student loans. And in the end, this has a payoff itself. I also don't want to leave out one of the most crucial elements of this game, the booze! Die. No! The boos have very clever names and all, and no ghostly-themed Mario game should exist without them. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But I think that sometimes they are such a pain to nab sometimes. Sometimes they just float in another room again and 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 again. Is it too much for me to ask for you to just shut up and die? But I gotta say though, they are actually more satisfying to catch than regular ghosts. Fun fact, some of them even survive you to fight you again in the second game, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Alright, enough twat squatting. I gotta get my ass in gear and start busting. AVGN style, baby. So after romping through the manor and picking it clean, we finally get to face off with this game's introductory villain, King Boo. I always imagined that this guy was voiced by Tom Kenny if he did Starscream's voice. You know, like from the Transformers animated. I also like that if you don't collect enough boos, he'll make a Star Wars reference to you. King Boo then transports Luigi to the roof of what I can only assume is the Mario-friendly equivalent to Hell and starts to combat Luigi. He possesses the corpse of Bowser after Mario defeated him from Mario 64. The trick is to stay far, far away from Bowser so then he can roll spike balls at you so you can suck them up and launch them at his head when he gets close for a fire breath attack. After knocking his head off like Count Dracula in Castlevania, King Boo pops out, and you just have to drain his health like any other Boo you fought before. This is the hardest boss battle of the game, which, in my opinion, what a lot of games should have. Because while it's easy enough to wrangle King Boo like any other Boo, Bowser just keeps throwing ice blasts at you. The key is to move around in small circles when he does this. Rinse and repeat. I find it morbid that Bowser's decapitated head has to be screwed on in order for him to fight. I don't know why, I just never liked that. There's also this theory that King Boo is just Bowser's ghost, because he says Mario and Luigi caused him trouble in the past, even though we never encountered him face-to-face in previous consoles, or previous titles in general. Well, either way, we suck up King Boo, claim the gem on his crown, and bring Mario back to home base. Professor Egad turns Mario back to normal and... wow, just watch. Luigi crying at the sight of his brother being safe and sound. That's just something you don't see every day in a Mario game. After beating the game, you unlock King Boo and Bowser as your final grand painting, as well as earn a brand new mansion out of all that dough you acquired. Various amounts of gold equal to different endings, and canonically it's the D rank ending since we get to see Luigi's house in Dark Moon. So finally, all is well and back to normal. This game is often referenced in other Mario games and will always be Luigi's first true defining character game. Now, we all know that Luigi is the scared younger brother, but full of hopes and desires. He's faced with adversity and conquered it every time. And yet, like all of us in our everyday lives, we always downplay our achievements in comparison to others, and I can't think of any other character in this series that relates to us on that aspect level. Luigi's Mansion, I salute you. How do I turn on this fucking thing? Oh, there. Okay, well, there you have it. That was Luigi's Mansion. I hope you enjoyed. Stay safe out there. Enjoy Halloween in your own way. And remember, make your Hallows Eve night ever supernatural. Sorry guys, I can't go any louder than that. My neighbors don't know what's going on down here. Thanks for watching this video. For years, I've always wanted to make a review of this game, and I couldn't have done it without you, my faithful subscribers, and friends, and cats, and friends, and cats. If you like my stuff, please check out last year's Halloween videos where I reviewed Tim Burton's Batman and several people's Ruby Grimm OCs. Stay safe, and find your own way of celebrating Hallows Eve. It only comes once a year. This is Nick, signing out.